Morning, everyone. It's 8 o'clock. We do have a quorum. Craig Taylor is coming back in just a minute. Let's go ahead and do a roll call. Kim, are you here? Okay. Lynn, he's absent. Craig, I'm here. Dale's next to me. Dale? Marianne Plunder? Chris, you're remote?
Here I am.
Okay, good. Ray is out. Jerry? Vic? Bud? Welcome back, Bud. Randy? And he's out. Okay. So are there any oral communications? Go ahead.
I'd like to just say a few things at the beginning, if that's all right, Craig.
Yeah, please do.
No, one, I'm sorry I'm not able to be there today. And because of that, I think the proper procedure is that we have the vice chair chair the meeting today, Craig. So thank you for agreeing to do that. And number two, I want to say I know that both you and I have a hard stop at 9 o'clock. That means we're going to have to just stick really tightly to the agenda. And I'd ask everyone to keep in mind the goal on these topics is not necessarily to solve the problem. The goal is to understand, is there a role for the EPC? What is it? And probably create a subcommittee to work on it if there is. And I'm mostly speaking about the bridge capacity issue. I know that people are going to want to spend a lot of time on it. We've allocated only about 10 minutes on the agenda. So let's get the point across, and then we can decide, is there a role for the EPC here, and work on it after that.
Okay, great. Thanks, Chris. Are there any other oral communications?
Hi, I'm sorry. This is Rita. I just can't access my electronic hand. If people can speak into the mic, that would be really helpful. It's something about the room or the mics, but if make sure that your mic is on and closed so that we can hear. Appreciate it. Have a great we'll be listening. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, Rita. Can you hear me pretty well or no?
You're pretty clear.
Yes, you're clear.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other oral communications? Okay, hearing none, but item 4, which is a discussion of the progress and feedback on EOC. Sounds like Kim, you're up for that.
Okay, so the past month, I worked on developing a draft.
I lost your audio there.
Did you? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay, so the last month, I developed a draft. We decided that it would probably be the best approach, develop more of a concept and kind of get that going and spelled out a little bit before we jump into developing the.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Kim. I don't know if everyone's having trouble or just me. You seem to be coming in and out. It goes completely blank for a while.
Yeah. Hey, Kim, just hold on for a second. I realized we do not have a note. So if somebody could take notes, that would be great. I would volunteer, but it's kind of hard to do both.
I'll do it, but they will be very weak minutes.
That's fine. Thank you. Thanks, Dale.
I can do it too, Dale, if you want, with my computer. Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay, Chris, can you hear me now? I've got 2 mics.
2 mics.
It's like that commercial. Can you hear me now? The newer generation doesn't. So the last month we developed the draft concept. Can you still not hear me?
It's still dropping in and out for me. Is it anyone else in the audience having the same trouble?
Yeah, it happened in here as well.
Yeah, it's a problem with the system. The system needs to be upgraded or fixed or calibrated, but
okay.
It seems to work when people speak consistent flow.
Does this mic drop in and out?
We don't know. You got to talk for a little while. It goes for like 20 seconds and then drops for 10.
Okay, well,
suggest-
I'll just be quick because I know we.
Fit it into 20-second bites.
So the draft is in review currently.
Okay, very good. So that concludes four, unless there's kind of comments. So moving on to item 5, which is a discussion of the bridge capacity and replacement. Chris, you're going to head that up.
Okay, well, I'm happy to do that. So the background, and there are attachments to this week's package, or this month's package, is we had a caller, Charles Zaffaroni, last time called in and made us aware of an issue with one of the bridges going in and out of the town, which could affect one of the evacuation routes. And so we put it on the agenda this time so that we could hear kind of the crux of the issue. I think the request was for the EPC to listen and support the effort. I don't know what the role for the EPC might be, but we'd like to hear about it. And we have a town council member with us today as well. Craig Taylor's there, and maybe between us we can decide, is there a role for us, and what might it be? That's all I have to say. Craig, you're chairing, but I would suggest maybe we hear from Charles again, who is kind of spearheading this from the citizens.
Yeah, I agree. And is here remotely. So Charles, it's floor to make some comments.
Wonderful. Thank you. Appreciate the committee having me back. Thank you for your time. So, I hope everybody had a chance to take a look at the email and the attachments that I sent over previously. To recap, this is regarding the what's known as kind of like the old Alpine Road Bridge. This is accessible off of Creek Park Drive, and then connects from Alpine Road by by the tennis club down to Arastradero Road by the Zotz parking lot. And so this is currently it's a single lane road. If we think about it in the context of our evacuation network, this is effectively a pinch point. So if Alpine Road were to be blocked, um, this would be kind of a critical way in which residents could get routed out around a blockage or out through Arastera Road. And it's also currently rated for no fire type 1 access, meaning that the fire districts are not going to be driving typical trucks over that bridge. So there is both an issue from the perspective of, evacuation, being a single lane, bridge, it's not going to be able to accommodate traffic effectively. And secondly, there's a fire defense gap because both, Woodside Fire Protection District as well as Los Altos Hills Fire District, which kind of share that area depending on the lines that you're looking at, have effectively said because that's considered a no type 1 access and a single lane bridge, they look at that whole section as a dead end road. And so they say if there is a wildfire event that's coming over from the Arastradero Preserve, they effectively will not attempt any suppression efforts in that area, as opposed to just prioritizing evacuation for the residents in that area, and then kind of like letting that burn over. So over the past maybe 5 years or so, my family, as well as some of the neighbors who are nearby that area, have worked together on a project which is now fully approved by the town of Portola Valley, as well as all of the other agencies, Army Corps, Fish and Wildlife, etc., for a replacement bridge. But it's expensive. I think the lowest bid that we've seen for that, given all the standards it needs to comply with, is around $800,000. And so, it's not something that any one member of the community likely will be able to bear themselves. And so this kind of would need to be a community-wide effort to raise funds for it. And essentially the request, or what we'd like to do, is to bring this to the town council, to have it be declared a community, a community benefit to upgrade this bridge, and then to, engage with the Portola Valley Fund or some other vehicle to help, gather donations or seek grants, et cetera, for that reconstruction. So the specific ask for the EPC is, to determine if this is something that is of interest to the EPC. If so, to maybe develop a subcommittee to kind of look at the project a little more closely, and then, ideally for me to be able to come to the town council with the support of the EPC, to ask for that community benefit designation. And I know Carter is on as well. Carter has been assisting with the project, has been involved with it for some time. So Carter, happy to turn it over to you if you have any further comments.
No, Charles, I think you did a excellent job of explaining what the project is about and what the ask is. It's clearly a pinch point. It's clearly a means of egress and access that should be supported, and would look forward to the EPC taking an active role in work Charles in the town to help move this forward. Available for any questions.
Yeah, I think that's a summary. I think then we would bring it internal to and discuss what role we would like to play, and also town council on Craig Taylor suggestions and guidance as well. So
Questions first?
yeah, absolutely. Questions first.
On the road, is the fire jurisdiction Woodside Fire, or the other county, or is it Santa Clara, is it their jurisdiction, or is it both? Could you repeat that part?
I can answer that question, Dale. The bridge is actually wholly in Portola Valley. So the bridge is actually wholly in the Woodside Fire Protection District. However, the properties on the other side are in Santa Clara County Fire District.
And that's actually, it's Los Altos Hills Fire District is is like technically, given the Santa Clara designation, the fire district that's designated as the responder for that area. But from a proximity perspective, it actually be Woodside Fire that would have trucks that would get there first.
Yes.
And currently you said that it's not type 1 rated. So what Woodside Fire's plan? They would like stop on this side of the bridge and then over, or?
So if they said that if they would need to get a truck over there, they would go via a rastradero, kind of going around, which obviously would add to the response time. But we've had Firewise committee meetings there for the neighborhood with Los Altos Fire, captains there, and essentially they said because this is a dead end road from their perspective, they could only get in that one side via rastradero. They wouldn't even go for suppression efforts if there was actually a wildfire event, as opposed to leaving that open just for evacuation purposes.
Okay.
So I think that's in addition to the evacuation challenges, one of the biggest risks to Portola Valley is if there was a fire in the Arrastra Preserve that was kind of heading towards the town. um, Los Altos Hills would not be in there with at least trucks trying to suppress it.
Jerry, go ahead.
Yeah. First, I've had the pleasure of walking on that bridge multiple thousands of times over the last 45 years. For that. I'm just wondering, this obviously has been worked on for a considerable period of time before the idea of coming to us came up. And my assumption was that there some assessment of the people along the private road that cover the cost of that. You just kind of talk about that and sorry, how you went from we have to replace the bridge because it's falling apart. Maybe I'm overstating that, to where we are now.
Yeah, I mean, let me speak to that for a moment. I think that there's a couple elements. One is, part of the process over the last 5 years has been to try to cost engineer the project um, to comply with all the requirements and make it, feasible, right? And so one of the last things that initially, we had gone to the town with, a 60-foot long bridge proposal. And then later have reduced that to a 35-foot long bridge proposal, which is effectively the minimum length to allow it to still stay out of that 100-year floodplain. And a big part of the idea of that is, hey, let's do what we can to bring the cost down, make it more feasible. Unfortunately, the cost basically didn't budge with that. Construction costs in the interim have increased, and so all attempts from the neighborhood to make it feasible, just to kind of bear it among the neighbors, has not really been borne out. Um, One other element, just to clarify, is I do still think that a lot of the folks along that road would be contributing to this effort. Um, but designating it as a community benefit from the town perspective would also make that a tax deductible donation, which would make it a much more kind of attractive or appealing scenario for folks that do want to contribute to it, to do so in a way that doesn't hurt the pocketbook so much. It also is an unincorporated area. There is no like direct way to levy an assessment in that area. There's not even a road maintenance agreement that exists currently in that space today. So I think it's kind of like as the reality of the costs of the project, you know, became evident, um, we wanted to seek other ways to to make it more possible, more feasible to develop the initiative. I'll also mention, I think we have been in contact with the town, talking about this for some time. Um, we have also worked with the fire district as well as, previous town managers to, to raise the possibility of this being a collaborative effort. Um, so it's not like this is the first time that that's coming up, but this is now kind of, we have the approved plans in place. Would love to start moving forward with the project, and this seemed like the right time to bring it to the EPC.
Dale, go ahead.
Couple of questions. About how many properties private road?
I believe it's 15.
And is it indeed a private road?
Yes,
So it's not maintained by either our county or Santa Clara County?
that's correct.
How is maintenance currently paid for on this section of road?
So it's done essentially by neighbor agreement, and was recently fully repaved in the last 2 years.
And is there a sign? I believe there's a sign on the road, private road, correct?
That's correct.
So this bridge essentially is access for a private road and private residence.
So I'd say that sign in part is put up because I mean it is technically a private road, right? Of course, if there's an emergency, if there's an evacuation, that sign is not going to dissuade anyone from being able to access it if it's routed that way. And then it is of course open for emergency vehicle access as well, presuming that the bridge has that capacity to support them.
Jerry, you had a question? Oh, pass. Okay. Any other questions? Oh, Chris, go ahead and then we'll take, I think it was Bud had his hand. Go ahead, Chris.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, before any comments from me, I'd like to hear from Craig Taylor, Councilman Taylor, to see and just remind us, we do serve at the pleasure of the town council. We should ask them what role they'd like us to play, if any.
Craig. Yes, it is. Thank you, Craig.
Can you hear me okay, Chris?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I think this is an interesting issue. We, the council, are looking probably sometime this fall to put together an evacuation ad hoc committee of some kind to start looking at that. We've got money from Stanford, their project. We have potentially another donor that would be talking about putting some. So it sort of feels like that might be the right place to put this. I think the great thing the EP is sort of get as much information on before it gets to council. Because, as you know, you get to a council meeting, it's a pretty limited. So I think getting all these questions asked and answered is important. I'd be happy to sit down with Charles and talk through this stuff as well. But my guess is, and I don't speak for, is it would probably get wrapped into evacuation, Alpine Road evacuation plan. But I think, need to understand, like, if we were to declare it as a community benefit, I mean, what liabilities, et cetera, does that put on the council and the town? Or is that literally just give, the residents an opportunity to do tax deduction, which I can definitely see the benefit of that. I mean, that substantially increases the value. So I think, those are the things we'd have to sort through. So I think it's great. I think it's great it's coming here. Have the committee ask a bunch of questions and try to get them to have, sort of a record. And then probably the next step would be, once we have that stuff together, I could certainly talk or somebody from the committee could talk to the town engineer, or maybe together we could talk to the town engineer. And then basically see where we go from. I mean, I'm sympathetic with Charles' issue. I'm a little surprised that Santa Clara is being quite that hard. The fact that they can't send a type 1 doesn't. Woodside Highlands is similar, that, getting type 1 engines is a tricky proposition. So anyway, I think that's the likely path, I would say. So I'd say from you guys, if you can get as much information, that would be the help. Does that answer your question, Chris?
It does. And again, just for the record, I think I got about 85%. We really do need to attend to the system there in the schoolhouse so that we can hear people talk. But it sounds like at the end of the day, you think there's value in the EPC potentially putting together a subcommittee and sort of just gathering information and facts about it, as opposed to asking us on any kind of recommendation of whether it should be a community asset or whether we would prioritize that over something else. Is that right? Just kind of generate data and facts so that the council could make those kind of calls?
Yeah, that sounds right to me. I mean, even if you make a recommendation, it's still got to be a decision. You guys are willing to do a subcommittee to sort of gather more facts and get them all in one place. I think that's always helpful. But that way, between Charles and a subcommittee, I think we get the sort of most fulsome sort of discussion at the council meeting.
Okay, thank you. That helped me.
Bud, why don't you go ahead and then I'll take Jerry.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
The question I have is, you said it's a private road and you said it was one lane. Is it one lane that you paved recently?
Sorry, I'm not sure I caught all of that. The bridge itself is a single lane.
No, not the bridge, the road. How wide is the road?
Yeah, the road itself is mostly 20 feet wide. So it is a 2-lane. I think there's one other section where it gets down to maybe 16 feet. what the county has been doing as they've been approving projects on that road for large remodels or rebuilds is to require that it's expanded to kind of 20 feet across the board. And so that almost is universally true at this point.
Thank you.
Jerry, go ahead.
It seems to me that the biggest role for this committee is to weigh in on a scale of 1 to 10, how critical is a 2-lane bridge to our evacuation plan? I mean, that's what we can tell the council. I don't know how deep we need to get into financing other issues. But really, as the EPC advising the council, is this a critical part of our evacuation plan? 2 on a scale of 1 to 10 and not that critical. And I assume the fire department will have a strong opinion one way or another.
Okay, Dale, before you go, let's take him. You had something that you wanted to ask or say?
Sure. Charles, I had 2 questions. One, then have you reached out to neighbors? Just kind of like that next layer of resident might have deep pockets to.
I'm so sorry, Kim. I caught maybe 10% of that.
Okay, I'll try again. So to what extent have you reached out beyond the 50 properties to the neighbors kind of in that immediate and to what their level of concern? I imagine it's pretty high. And then also, everybody in that. So that's
Okay.
my first question. And then I have a second one.
Okay, I think I got maybe 70% of it. Let me try to answer what I think you were asking. So, what I heard was have we reached out to neighbors other than the 15 on that road? The answer is no. We have not. We have not.
Okay, and then my second question is, I'm a visual person. I love to be able side by side. I've taken a look at the evac plans for our town, but this would be helpful to be able to kind of better understand how critical this is, in terms of evacuation.
Yeah. Okay. I think you were asking about, do we have a map to show the location of the bridge? I do. That was something I'd included in the email. I'm not sure if it was incorporated in the agenda.
That information's and other documents, so we could send that to you. Dale?
But not the road. It only shows the bridge. So we really don't, it's hard to, I found it hard to fully understand the whole concept.
Sure.
I mean, from one end to the other, even though we're only talking about the bridge in construction, from us who don't walk it like Jerry does, the rest of us would like to kind of feel in a real sense about then a line on the bridge. It's red, but it doesn't really show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. So this was an attachment that I included. It doesn't look like it was included in the agenda though. But I'm sure there's a way to get it to you, and I'm happy just to walk through this briefly right now. So this is, here's the Alpine Hills Club, right? This is Alpine Road. Here's Zotz. This is, again, what's known as Old Alpine Road that connects from Arastradero up to, Creek Park Drive and Alpine Road at the Alpine Hills Club. And this is the current location of the bridge. So from kind of like an evacuation route perspective, this is, if anything along kind of Alpine Road here gets blocked by, a landslide or down trees or whatever else, this would be a bypass that would allow residents to get out around it, either down to Arastradero Road or around a blockage, I think is kind of one of the primary evacuation, bottleneck concerns. And then from a, fire suppression perspective, um, because again, this is marked as both no type one as well as being single lane bridge itself. This is where, the Los Altos Fire District has said, that they would not attempt suppression activities.
Dale, go ahead, and then I'd like to circle the discussion back to, because I think what we're doing is answering some of the questions that like, subcommittee would do. So, but go ahead, Dale, and then let's circle back the discussion.
Okay, and I have my hand up. Thanks.
Oh, okay.
Committee first. Yeah, just a quick comment. I live on a private road and we have a sort of an airtight road agreement. And everybody on the road pays for all the maintenance. Park is a private road similar. So I think from a legal standpoint, it would behoove you to get a road agreement among property owners in that area. Because if for example, we, Portola Valley decided this was an alternative evacuation route, who would we negotiate with? We're not going to negotiate with 15 individuals at a homeowners association or some sort of road agreement that we could say, okay, in an evacuation emergency, this is viable. Same thing with Woodside Fire or maybe even Los Altos Fire, a single point of contact, I think would go a long ways to port of helping create such a situation. And number two, just as a comment, I'm the evacuation sub happy to be involved in one way, depending on what the committee wishes.
Very good. Rita, you have your hand up. Please go ahead.
Hi, thank you for taking my comment. I know that there are several infrastructure projects going on around town on private property that the owners or the neighbors are having to just foot the bill on their own, even though they ultimately benefit the community. And just wondering if there are any building projects planned around this, or if there are any current builds with the neighbors that then they need this type of bridge doubled in size to have bigger, I know what I had to do on my property for so to help the fire department and in order permits and whatnot. And how many people, has there been an assessment of how many people actually drive over this bridge in a week, in a month? Or in a year? Has there been any studies about that? How well known is it? I know it sounds like people are walking on it at night, but people using it as a regular way to get to Arastradero Road or to cut through instead of being on Alpine, and with the builds that are going to be happening on Alpine, maybe it would then be a more popular route for people to take. But those are my questions. Thank you.
Yeah, regarding your second question, Rita, I'm not aware of any studies that have occurred in terms of identifying the number of vehicles or pedestrians using that route currently. To your first question, the way in which the county has set up their process is, for any either like major remodel or rebuild, the homeowner needs to be able to show legal access, right? And so there's two paths for that. One would be, legal access where, a fire truck would be able to come via that bridge itself, or legal access via out to Arastradero Road. And so, because the price of that bridge rebuild is so high, in every single case thus far, neighbors who are in that position have simply acquired easement access down to Arastradero Road. So it's kind of like a tragedy of the commons type scenario where, it'd behoove everybody if the bridge itself was rebuilt, not just on that street, but for the broader community. Yet, when any given person is under that pressure, they're taking the easy way out and spending, maybe 4 or 5 figures to acquire easement access down to Arrastradero, as opposed to, being willing themselves to finance single-handedly that bridge rebuild.
Okay, so I think where we stand is subcommittee, Dale expressed that interest. I would be happy to do it as well. So I guess could be at the point of me making that we put together a subcommittee to address this. Does that make sense? And is it
Good.
correct?
Could I make a comment?
Yes, please. Chris.
Perhaps we don't need an additional subcommittee. Perhaps it's looked at by the evacuation subcommittee, because that's really the angle.
Okay, I think so. So that's just increases the scope of work for that subcommittee, or so it's your gig.
Yeah. We'll look at it.
Okay.
And,
All right.
and I'm happy to have other members join for this
Oh.
particular thing on the evac subcommittees.
Good point, Dale. I'll reach out to you. Jerry.
So it sounds like we're not giving them a specific charge, we're asking them to look at it. And they will come back with some ideas that we would need to then think about. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
I think that's an accurate encapsulation of, yes, very good. Okay, I think then we could move on to the next, which is, let's see, that's item 6, San Mateo operations, emergency response. And that is Chris and Kim. Is that correct?
That's right. And maybe if I could just say a few things up front, A, so that everyone can hear them. And
Go ahead.
B, you can have a discussion afterwards. But the background here is I was recently made aware of the existence of the San Mateo Operational Area Emergency Services Council, something I did not know about. And the question arose, is this something that the Portola Valley EPC should be aware of, be part of? And then the second part of that, after becoming aware, it turns out Portola Valley does have a representative, or at least someone who attends those meetings, and it's another council member, to my understanding, which is Mary Hufty. And so the question is there a role for EPC / if the town council is sending a representative to this, should it perhaps be someone associated with the EPC, like the EPC liaison, or at least form a way to make sure that all the relevant information flows in 2 directions? I found it odd to find out about something like that, being chair of the EPC for a few years. That's why I wanted to bring it up. Kim, I think you might be the one who found out about it, or have some other comments.
Yes, I was the one that found out about it and proceed with the same approach that you just described.
And again, I guess it's a question for the committee. Do we know enough to want to be involved? And probably a question for the council. And I see Craig heading to the podium.
Go ahead, Craig.
So we're talking the emergency service. This is run by the emergency management, San Mateo County Emergency Management.
Correct. And
Yeah,
so
so-
every jurisdiction,
So it's a JPA. So they're elected officials. So it wouldn't make sense for EPC part of that.
right, but we were concerned the person that knows is directly involved with, which we did find out there is, if it could perhaps be either you or Helen to maybe just continue that, seamless communication and coordination.
Yeah, I would say our assignments aren't as current maybe as we would. I mean, I won't bore you, but we have a lot of assignments, so we try to spread somewhat arbitrary. Yeah, I think we need to think about it. I mean, I was on ESC for a year. And it's a JPA. They're probably better is having EP have a strong with the emergency management group. And I think you've met with them as well. And that's probably the biggest place that the EPC could make an impact. But yeah, why don't we talk afterwards? Let's see if we can at least coordinate what's going on.
I didn't hear all of that, but if I could just make a comment that it sounds like it's a matter of bandwidth and which council members are assigned to different things. And I think you said let's talk about it. Agreed. I'm happy as long as there's some sort of continuation in the flow of information. If there's any relevant information that comes out of that, it seems to me, again, in working on the emergency operation plan, we're interfacing with them, or at least Kim is on the subcommittee. Having dual channels that aren't coordinated seems a little odd, but probably not a critical item.
Well, I would say unless they've changed, they meet about 3 times. And you can certainly look at their agenda. And Mary typically writes up council pack. So,
Okay.
I mean, you can sort of get a sense for what they're doing. I think you'll find it sounds like it should be super relevant, and it's not. What they at least did the year I was there wasn't very relevant, unfortunately. I think it needs, and that's why I started working directly with the director of EM to try to get them to focus a little bit more, because they're all over the map. It's flooding, it's potentially wildfire, but in theory, they're the place we go, and Kim knows this way better than I do. They're the place that we go when we've exhausted our resources. So they start putting in agreements, bags and stuff like that, but it was not as useful as I had hoped. But again, I think if we can meet afterwards, let's brainstorm and figure out, like, what do we want to get from them, and then what's the best way to get. So I think it's a good question to ask. Hopefully you heard some of that, Chris.
Yeah, I heard a lot of that one. Thank you. Yeah, I'm completely satisfied with that.
Should we think about putting this on next month's agenda? Just as a follow-up to kind of revisit this and figure out where we are and where to go. Okay, let's do that. Chris, does that make sense? Committee, does that make sense?
Sure.
Okay. All right, very good. Item seven is a WPB cert and ready WFPD report. And if you could make that brief, that would be great. I don't know if there's a representative out there to report. That's very brief. Let's do this.
Puts us right back on schedule. Good job, Craig.
Let's do this. Let's to item 8, and if 7 comes back, we will that. So that item 8 is subcommittee reports. Ray, do you have a report?
Standing by.
Okay,
There you
here we
go.
go. Sorry.
Very good. No problem.
If I'm coming through, if somebody just wave at me if I'm okay.
You're loud and clear.
Yeah, the last month, you may recall, we approved and Chris had worked all the magic to getting approvals to get a separate IP circuit for the AM and EPC emergency radio system. I sent a note to the town. I also sent a note to Stepford to get that done. I got nothing back, not an email reply, nothing. I don't know what the process is here, but it would be great if we could do that. The money's covered. That was part of the contingency of the deal. And anyway, so I don't know what to do next, except to order it myself, but that would not be smart.
Okay.
If I could make a suggestion.
Yeah, please do.
I think the way to get this done is the same way we got the approval, is to get a meeting with the town manager. He's always been really supportive, and I suspect just very busy. Somehow this fell through. I'm willing to do that if you want, or if someone who's in town a little more in the next 4 weeks wants to take that. But I've got the relationship, so maybe I should just volunteer to take that.
That'd be great, Chris. I think you should do it. It'd be super.
Okay.
I'm happy to resend the email to everybody.
I doubt it's necessary. I think,
Okay, I'll
let me
wait for
find
you.
out.
Okay, but Craig has a comment, Craig Taylor.
And Chris, I wouldn't mind I've been pushing to get an RFP out for.
Hmm.
Because I've been really frustrated. Like we have IT ask and get no answers. Not even like, oh, it's going to take radio silence. So then there's a bigger issue that you could help at the same time we're doing this.
Greg, I'm sorry. I heard maybe 5% of that one, but I got the gist, and I think perhaps the first job of whoever becomes our IT people would be to fix the audio in the schoolhouse. This has got to be a problem for town council meetings and the public as well. We really need to fix this.
Agreed.
Okay. There's nothing else on that. Then it's me, IS signs. As I understand it, everything has kind of been approved to the point of going ahead and actually buying signs and installing them. Craig Taylor was kind enough to try and connect me with a town engineer to get that done, and I'll report back on that if there's any kind of developments. So evacuation, Gail?
I think the big thing is that I'm pleased to hear Craig Taylor says that we're going to be looking at evacuation of Alpine Road later this year. That would be great. That earn for a very long time. So hopefully we get that moving, and hopefully this committee can be helpful. We can add more.
Okay. Vic, neighborhood and resident outreach? Nothing to report, okay. Dale, the ad hoc safety element?
This one, I guess, again, council is suggesting they're going to look for an overarching committee of some kind to approach the safety element again. I presume this committee in one way or another become active again.
Yes, Craig Taylor has a comment.
Is this any better, Chris, if I talk this close?
Let's try it. I do have a suspicion that it might be the anti-echo circuit, so that when you're really loud, it just overpowers it and goes continuous. Let's
Maybe.
give that a try.
Well, let's see if this is better or worse. So Rebecca Flynn and I are a sub. So the goal was to start. So Dale, I can reach out to you. I'm sure you can help. Our ultimate goal is to get this in a broad sense, and then there's some very narrow pieces, which is the action. So we need to do the safety element at matter law, and then I think there's a broader set of resilience that we in this community think are important, and that's the other thing that Rebecca and I are working on, is sort of getting that moved.
Okay, very good. Jerry, I thought maybe you had a question. I saw you moving over there. Okay, all right, no problem. The last item, or the next item, is EOP, EOC, Kim.
No further updates.
100%. Thank you.
I heard, we all heard that 100%. Okay, the next item, unless fire department, doesn't look like we're going to do that, is a quorum check. And I don't have a calendar in front of me.
Craig,
Yes,
do you want to approve the minutes from last meeting?
that's a good idea. Thanks, Jerry. I knew
I
you
make
were-
a motion to.
I knew you were stirring for a reason. So yes, I motion to approve the things. Meeting minutes, second. Aye, all in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, okay, 2 abstentions, all right, I think. Then, at September, August 7, August 7. Let me take a look, but, I'm pretty sure I can make it. Only a few days away. Anybody cannot make that they know of?
That date is good for me. Thank you.
Okay, it looks like we should probably have a quorum. So Craig Taylor says he won't make it, but Helen can probably make it. So we'll be in good shape for August. All right, if that's it, I think we can stand adjourn. Motion. Okay, in favor?
Aye.
All right, we're adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone. It's a good meeting.
Great meeting. Well done, Craig. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
That's a new record.